All right, so operating and I'm still not even sold on it, but operating on the expectation that Irving is gone. Does that mean Terry Rozier's back?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I think that's going to depend on what market develops for Rozier. I think if there is a chance that a team comes and throws a massive offer his way, I'm not sold that's going to happen. Just kind of looking at the teams who have cap space and have needs, I think they might look a different direction at the point guard spot. But if a team throws a big deal, I think Ainge will be comfortable to say, we're not going to go there. But if Kyrie goes, you can definitely see a world where if he comes back on a Marcus Smart type-ish deal, maybe a little more team-friendly, I think then you look at it and say, all right, we're going to bring you back because we're going to run this thing forward with you, and we're fine with that because that's, we're good. We saw what you could be when you were a starter and you were more heavily involved in the game planning and all those kind of things. We feel pretty good about it, so it wouldn't shock me at all if he was back.
Aaron Baines is back. He opted in. I think Al Horford is going to opt out and then re-sign for a few more years at a lower average annual value. There's just not really a part of me that envisions a situation where he's not a Celtic next year. But again, maybe that's me, and it's been my expectation all along. How about you?
Yeah, I think he's back. I don't know if he opts in or if he opts out and takes a longer-term deal. It's about $30 million if he opts in. I could see Al Horford saying, I'm going to opt out for something, let's say 40 to 50 to maybe even 60 million over a 4-year life of a contract, because the reality is he could get 30 million this year, then he may only get 20 to 30 million over the next 4 years or so, because he is aging. He's still very productive. His game projects to age well, better than a lot of other guys in his situation. So I do think Al Horford will be back. I'm not getting a good sense one way or another if it's going to be 30 million for 1 year and see where it goes, or if it's going to be opt out with the intention of signing a bigger number, which helps bring his overall cap hit for this coming season down. But we'll see. I don't expect him to opt out and sign for anything approaching what he currently makes, if that's the case.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. One of those things that obviously we need to keep an eye on. And when I normally say it, and I just don't have it off the top of my head, when is the decision that he needs to make ultimately? When's that deadline?
June 18th. So coming right up for him. I'm pulling up a calendar here next Tuesday. So a couple of days ahead of the draft, we'll know one way or another with Al Horford.
All right, well, looking at the league, you noted in a tweet, the NBA might look completely different next year. Great free agent class, superstar on the trade block, multiple teams with multiple first-round picks, two of the league's best players, Kevin Durant with the ruptured Achilles, Klay Thompson the torn ACL, will hit free agency with those major injuries. What is your hottest take or takes that you're expecting to come true?
Oh, geez. I do think it's going to look really different. I think the Warriors are going to re-up with KD and Klay, and they will bring them both back. Now, I did not think that was Kevin Durant prior to this. I think you're going to see – I think the Philadelphia 76ers are going to lose one of their two guys, more likely to be Tobias Harris. I think they're just going to look at their kind of landscape and say we can't commit two max deals there. But my probably hottest take of all would be, despite winning the NBA championship, I think Kawhi Leonard leaves the Raptors and goes to the LA Clippers.
Interesting. Now, what draws him there outside of just all the speculation that's been there going back to when he was in San Antonio about the fact that he's going to want to go to LA? Yeah,
similar to what we talked about with Kyrie, it's home. And I think Kawhi is a different kind of guy. I think he is somebody who makes decisions independently of what is all swirling around him. I think he is very content and happy to say, this is what I want to do. I'm happy we won the championship. Congratulations. But I'm going to go where I want to go. I'm going to go where I want to be. And what I look at with a guy like Kawhi is, I always go back to, this is a guy who willingly asked out of the NBA's preeminent winning machine in San Antonio. Now, I know there were issues in the way he didn't like the way they handled his health and things like that. But when you ask out of there, you're just wired a little bit different than other people, because that's a situation. He could have got past those things. They could have figured it out and made it work, but he didn't want to be there anymore. He wanted to be somewhere else, and I do think he's the kind of guy who would willingly walk away from a championship team just because, hey, this is where I want to be. I told you all, years ago that this is where I wanted to be, and that's where I'm going.
So what's that mean for the Raptors? I mean, obviously they were a competitive team before he came, but you had DeMar DeRozan, you had some other pieces. he shows up in the DeMar DeRozan trade, leads him to a championship. I know nobody would wish him ill will if he left. He took them to the promised land. Everyone say, hey, thank you so much. We'll see you later. Obviously, they'd prefer he sticks around, but if he leaves, you're not going to see jerseys being burned or anything like that. Everyone will appreciate what he did. But where are the Raptors without Kawhi Leonard? Because that, as open as people view the East right now, that really would open things up.
Yeah, it really would. It'd be a pretty big step back for them. They would be still completely capped out. They've got, nearly $35 million on the books. Kyle Lowry, about 23 for Serge Ibaka. All expectations are Marc Gasol opts in. That's almost $26 million. Then 10 for Powell, 9 for Van Vliet. All of a sudden, you're already there. You're well past the cap. So they have no way to reasonably replace him. You could then potentially look at moving to pieces like OG Anunoby, maybe a first-round pick, maybe use Powell's salary to go get somebody else to do a replacement level for Kawhi. But you're not obviously going to get somebody at that level. So they definitely would take a step back. It brings them back into the middle of the pack more. But there is a part of me that says even with Kawhi, maybe they take that step back anyway. Kyle Lowry's not getting any younger. Neither is Marc Gasol. Neither is Serge Ibaka. There were points in these playoffs where they didn't look so good. Milwaukee was, seconds away from being up 3-0 on them in the Eastern Conference Finals, and maybe we're talking about the Bucks as the NBA champions if they didn't kind of fumble that one away, and then the Raptors really rebounded and took control from there. So I do think, Toronto, this is a pretty massive offseason for them going forward. Now, again, you said it there. He did what he did. He delivered them the title. You're going to live off that for a while, so you can't be too upset if he goes. But, this is something Masai Ujiri is going to have to work around and really figure out.
That's if he stays, right? I mean, there were the reports that, the Wizards may offer him $10 million bucks a year to come run their franchise, whereas he could theoretically stay if the Raptors were to give him an ownership stake or maybe just, loyalty. He sticks around. Could go either way, but there isn't even a guarantee in this moment that he's going to be there next year.
No, yeah, I think if I was Masai, and I'm only speaking what I would do if I was in his shoes, is I would look at it and say, all right, maybe we take a step back, but then I've got a pretty clean cap sheet when Lowry expires, Ibaka, Gasol. I can build this around versus looking at the Wizards and saying, oh, man, that Wall contract still sitting there. That extension only starts. This is the thing people kind of, I think, are conveniently forgetting with John Wall. It starts this season. You are only just now starting that 4-year Supermax contract for John Wall, that Supermax extension. That's tough. That's hard to work around. And you don't want to have your first thing you do is, well, we can't do anything with that one, so I got to trade Bradley Beal. That's not a starting point I want to start from. And he's making pretty good money in Toronto. $10 million would be a lot to pass up, but I think he might look at it and say, happiness, success, that's worth more to me than a few million extra bucks a year.
We'll get right back to Keith. Want to take a quick break to tell you today's show is brought to you by BetOnline.ag. Just because the NBA season is now over doesn't mean you can't make money. BetOnline.ag always has fun props for you to play. You have an idea where Kevin Durant's going to play next year? Knicks and Warriors both plus 150. Clippers plus 300. I'm sure there's going to be another Kyrie prop to come up soon featuring, not just the Nets, the Lakers, Celtics, Knicks, whomever else. There'll be something else. So always check what fun player props are there to choose from. And in addition to that, BetOnline.ag allows you to do custom player props during games. You pick your player, pick your stat. BetOnline.ag gives you a line for it. It's pretty cool. So go to CLNSmedia.com/CelticsBeat to get a 50% bonus when you sign up and use the promo code CLNS50. Don't be left on the sideline with all this excitement going on, all right? Plus, you can play in BetOnline's virtual casino, make some money there too. Plus, you always have futures bets that you can play. There's baseball season, that's in full swing. NFL futures are already out, right around the corner. I know NHL just wrapped up, but there'll be something there as well. There's a lot going on in the sporting world. There always is. Whatever you do, make sure you use betonline.ag. Use the promo code CLNS50 for a 50% bonus on your first deposit. Just go to clnsmedia.com/CelticsBeat.